about the anti-doping agency of Kenya, EDAC. We know that so far for the last 5 years, Kenya has made significant steps in terms of fighting against doping. And that's why Kenya was, I think about recently or in the past, actually struck off any blacklist. Yani, we are clean. We are not raising any suspicion anywhere with our World Anti-Doping Agency. We are running clean. And that is the message, of course, we want to share to the entire country, starting from those young boys and girls who are yearning to be the Sebastian Sawes, starting from those young boys and girls who want to be the Humphrey Kayange of this world, those young boys and girls who want to be the Dennis Oliech or who want to be the top Ryan Ogam. We want to start that message and tell you, run clean. There is no need for you to use any substances to do good. We are blessed in terms of athletics. We are blessed in terms of football. We are blessed everywhere. And that's why this afternoon we are honored really to have the acting CEO of the Anti-Doping Agency of Kenya, EDAC, that is Penina Wahome. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Utanisamea mimi naongeanga sana. I am paid to talk. I can talk and talk and finish even your airtime will speak. Karibu, it's good to see you.
Pressure is mine.
And thank you na leo naona umekuja kama uko ready. Hey, I can see your team did a good job in the homework. They did due diligence.
Thank you.
You're looking very good. Asante sana for coming.
Having me.
Anytime.
Great.
And of course we are happy. And she has told me that when we shall be doing the big launch of our state-of-the-art, she'll be one of the very first top dignitaries to be here. So you're already invited.
Thank you.
And you know the CEO, our CEO is also watching. So trust me, he has taken his notes.
Great.
Asante sana. Yes. We also have one of the Arsenal fans, Daktari Martin Yauma, who is, of course, the Acting Director, Standards and Compliance, PhD. Karibu sana, Bwana Martin.
Thank you. Asante sana.
Nilikuona ukisema hiyo swali ndajibu hiyo swali. He's itching to answer that question. I'm assuming you are an Arsenal fan.
I think you've just assumed by seeing what I've demonstrated right now.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm an Arsenal fan, actually.
Arsenal
fan. I'm proudly to say so.
I know this week. So are you also an Arsenal fan? I'm a Man U.
Congratulations, Arsenal fans.
Sawa. We shall congratulate our Arsenal fans.
Yes.
But of course, well done to Martin and of course the team. And thank you really for making time to come to our show. Wacha tuanze tu with CEO. CEO, significant steps have been made in your fight against anti-doping or doping in the country. So far, some of the recent successes that we can actually document that you've achieved this season, for example, in 2026.
Thank you. Tony, I would start off by saying what most people would think the obvious one, but it has taken us a lot of hard work, and that is getting out of the watch list.
Yes.
In February 25th this year.
Yes.
We are aware that the better part of last year, we really had to ban the midnight oil to make sure that we get the country out of that blacklist.
Yes.
And unfortunately, even after having done so, we were alleged, the WADA did the call to allege dark non-compliance. We were given 21 days. And then we were able, within those 21 days, to meet the collective action that they wanted us to have done. And we provided the action plan with which to proceed. And we are put on watch list. Watch list means that we are being studied. They are looking at us to see how we're implementing the program.
Yes.
If we are staying to what we said in the action plan.
Yes.
And I'm glad that we managed to get the country out of that by maintaining, and we are still implementing what we said we would, so that we make sure we don't get back there.
And we're just bringing in the Director of Standards and Compliance, Dr. Martin. Yes, we've had, just the way CEO has mentioned, that we had a time in 2025 whereby things were not looking so nice on many fronts, from the funding, from athletes just deciding to do very funny things, or players getting all those things. What steps did we do, or what did you actually do in order for the international community or the stakeholders to say, okay, fine, now Kenya, you've done enough. I think now get out of the watch list. Now let's allow you just be in your normal way of doing things.
First of all, I think we have always had a conviction that this country is endowed in terms of talent.
Yeah, it is.
And that is a space which we really need to protect with all our efforts and strength. And I think that is what has been the mantra of the anti-doping agents of Kenya, the way my CEO has just explained.
Yes.
One of the areas which we really worked hard to sort out was the issue of funding.
Yes.
I think you remember just before 2025, that particular year, Parliament had not given us enough resources to implement an anti-doping program. I think closing into 2024, beginning 2025. Yes. And by the time the audit was being undertaken, it means we didn't have enough resources to undertake effectively the program. And that was one of the very, very critical and major corrective actions that we had to undertake. One of the activities or the to-do list was getting the funds. And then we had now to do a lot of lobbying with the ministry, with government. It went up to His Excellency, the President, and we got the goodwill of government. And also Parliament was very helpful. They were able to appropriate the necessary resources. Under the ministry, the sports fund also came in handy. So resources started trickling in. And of course, when now you have resources, of course, then you can now effectively, properly implement the plan that you had created. So we moved into the ground. We made sure that the tests that we were supposed to undertake, we have undertaken within the time that is stipulated.
Yes.
We also made sure that the education that we were supposed to do, we made sure that we did it. The cases of anti-doping rule violations which were pending, we were able to expedite the processes of hearings and so on.
Yes.
And therefore, by the time we were reaching where now at least we were demonstrating to WADA that we can run an effective program, we had taken care of most of the critical areas, and we exuded confidence in WADA, and of course the all sporting international community that Kenya is on the right path in the fight against doping in sport, and that has continued consistently up to now. Even if we got out of the watch list, WADA is still monitoring our program just to ensure that there is consistency in the execution of the program, and therefore just an assurance to the country that we are on the right track, and we are assuring our clean athletes that their right of participating in a clean doping environment is now being guaranteed at the moment.
That's very important, and of course thank you for that assurance. CEO, we were just before we started this show, we were discussing about this week the Minister of Sports, the Minister of Creative Economy, Youth Affairs and Sports were presenting their budgets, what they're looking, the numbers, the figures they're looking for the 2026-2027 calendar year. And carrying from what Daktari has mentioned, are we going to have any problems in the coming years or next financial year whereby you will wake up and the anti-doping ADAC will be like, hatuna pesa na tuko na shida? Will you have that issue now that you've already presented those kind of numbers to Parliament?
Tony, I think I would start off actually by acknowledging the government for the support that they have consistently given us over the last 1 year in terms of funding, timely and consistent, because that was one of the issues. And then to say that indeed we were lobbying for extra funding this week. And while extra funding, it is because so far where we are, we still need a lot of money to be able to accomplish everything that will be in line with the compliance that WADA would expect of us.
Yes.
And especially in terms of supporting the other sports disciplines. When I talk about the other sports disciplines, it's because we have some specific program and funding for the athletics. And but we need equally enough kind of attention and focus for the other sports disciplines, and therefore we need extra funding. So we are here trusting that we'll get the extra money that we need, but so far so good, and we don't see anything else happening, because good thing about that call for non-compliance is that everybody became sensitized. and they are aware on as to what is to me. It's not to fund ADAC to enough and on time, in good time. So we don't anticipate any problem because everyone is aware. Yes.
I'm happy to hear that, CEO. I'll come a bit later to you to share with me that meeting that WADA had in the country earlier this year.
Yes.
And of course that led to the Kenya being struck off the watch list in May. So there was February, March, April. There's some magic you did in the middle here until May, when of course we were struck off the watch list. Yes. But let me bring in Daktari Kwanza. Daktari, from what the CEO has mentioned about athletics receives most of the major funding, because that's where Kenya is, very actively, and they shine a lot. And sometimes I will say it as a fan, maybe people out there don't like Kenya shining so much. That's why tunamulikwa sana. But that is my opinion. So how are we ensuring that also other sports are clean? Football is a big sport in the country.
Yeah.
We're headed into the Africa Cup of Nations. We are co-hosting with Tanzania and Uganda. The entire Africa is here. And EDAC, you'll be on the spotlight during this particular time, because I'm sure CAF, FIFA will be asking, so how we clean in this particular sport. So these are the sports, rugby. How are we ensuring that we also have eyes in those areas?
First and foremost, I think we know that a country, we are endowed with the talent. If you go to the office of the sports registrar, you'll find that more than 50 sports federations are registered and they're active and are functioning. And we are cognizant of that fact. It's just that probably when you do what we call a risk assessment and you look at the predisposing factors and the propensity of doping, the risk of doping in athletics is a bit higher than other sports disciplines, I think, because of the accolades that are associated with it, and of course the high profile that the country has been placed in terms of athletics, and of course also the being an individual sport, it takes more effort for you to get there and make it. Equally, at the same point also, other sports disciplines are also more of important, and there's active participation in those other sports disciplines. And therefore, as an agency, we have also not just focused on athletics, we have also focused on other sports disciplines to ensure that those federations are also compliant to the code and the other rules that they have set to sign. So sports disciplines such as football, rugby, netball, and many others, we have forged very close ties with the federation officials, both at the national level and the grassroots level. We are carrying out a lot of sensitization and awareness creation on both the athletes and the athlete support personnel. There is a lot of testing that is going on in those sports disciplines. If you go to the website right now, if you look at athletes whom we have sanctioned, they cut across. They cut across, even not just, of course, the majority is in athletics, but also we also have athletes in other sports disciplines that we have tested, and some of them, unfortunately, they have turned positive. So we are balancing our program and just making sure that we effectively reach as much as possible, so that as a country we present a sporting environment that is clean, and of course tell the international community that the ground is fair for them to come, or probably to allow us to compete with them, because then that will mean that they have confidence in us. So we are equally also ready for CHAN, AFCON that is coming. Of course, we were there during CHAN. The eyes are also on us. We are going to cooperate with the federation, African Federation, and FIFA, and of course the Kenyan Federation, to make sure that space is also taken care of. I think our CEO is part of those who are in the local organizing committee to represent the requirements of ADAC, and of course just making sure that we lay the foundation for that to happen. There was the threat of being declared non-compliant to could also mean that we could not have participated, or CHAN would not have been, or AFCON would not have been hosted in the country. But now that is behind us. We are now very confident that it's coming, and we'll equally be there to support the process to make sure that the clean sports message and activities are undertaken to the satisfaction of everybody that's going to participate in that event.
Yeah, that's important, of course. And Dr. I'll ask you later on, of course, engage you, because I've interacted with some of the athletes who have served their doping ban. For example, I'm talking about the sprint star, Marco Tieno, who, of course, at one point had that issue with, doping, found guilty, served his term, and now he's back participating. However, not many other athletes, of course, that will be a little question, you'll answer me a little bit later. Okay. Most other athletes don't have that courage or the confidence to go through that process, because it's not a process whereby we are making athletes look bad, but it's just one of the transition moments from them, so at least they can learn, get out of it, and get out of it. I'll ask you, of course, how you ensure that these athletes don't disappear after that, because they make mistakes, but we need them because those are what people, most of the other upcoming athletes look up to. CEO, acha nikulete into this conversation as well. You, of course, you are part of the local organizing committee of Africa Cup of Nations, or you're part of the entire organization of that upcoming AFCON. However, I'm looking at a case whereby these athletes that you are supposed to watch over, guide and offer direction, just to ensure that they don't fall into these traps of anti-doping. I don't know how far you are in terms of using these athletes to drive the message of anti-doping, because it will not serve any good when EDAC is there and athletes are there, and then we are throwing words and jabs at each other. We just have to work together despite the, making these mistakes. I don't know how far we are, using just athletes, for example, those who have gone through the thing and using them just to drive the message, or using the current ones to drive the message. So at least these upcoming ones can realize, oh, okay, this makes sense. Because if you are there and they're there, then your message disappears.
It is true. That is very true, Tony. I would want to say that indeed for us to be able to be successful in this war against doping, we need to bring everyone along. And now when I say everyone along, the person that is at the heart of this program is the athletes. So the arrangement we have in place as an anti-doping agency of Kenya is that we do a lot of education for deterrence.
Yes.
We test for deterrence, but we also test for detection. Yes. Our main focus and the requirement of the code is that the first call for anti-doping for any athletes will be education. And that education is to let them know exactly what it means to get through to have doped, and the provisions that are there to make sure that they do not dope. Some of them do so because of a lack of information. So that is the first point that we start off with them. Once that has happened, we encourage the athlete support personnel. Yes. And these ones are mainly from the federations, their coaches, their families, and other persons to make sure that they work with the athletes throughout that journey. Whenever we have the opportunity to use them to talk to the athletes, we use them. But to realize that these are athletes that are already serving a ban. And some of them don't want even to come out to talk about it. So the engagement, the level of engagement we would have with them is limited to their availability. Having said so, it is a good proposal that we can have in future, and we do not shy away talking to athletes who have retired to be our ambassadors, talking to athletes who have learned and finished clean. And especially so because for an athlete who has retired, chances of getting positive, even though they are there, remember we have a policy where we keep samples for 10 years, are also very slim. So we tend to use such to talk to the other athletes to encourage them. But mostly what we do, and we have a collaboration with the federations, is to make sure that we educate the athlete support personnel to be their support system.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah.
And of course, I wanted to ask you about, CEO, about that meeting you had in February earlier this year with the World Anti-Doping Agency.
Yes.
What you discussed in that meeting, does it look like it's coming to the light of day? Are we seeing any successes from those meetings? Because you say WADA met with the government, agencies, all those people. What came out for that meeting? Do you think you can actually say this is a KPI from that meeting? This is an indicator from that meeting when World Anti-Doping Agency was here? Because we always get very scared when we hear WADA is coming.
Thank you for that. And for us in the anti-doping world, when we hear that WADA is coming, we take that as a bill of clean health. Yes, it's like a bill of clean health.
Yes.
Why? Is because it is very unlikely that WADA will come calling when you are going through a process of non-compliance. They will support you, but not by coming home. They'll support you from wherever they are. You'll work with them throughout that journey. But when they come home, it means that there is a certain degree of trust in this program. So when WADA came in January, and I want to correct that, they came in Jan, and we were declared clean in February, not May. And therefore, when they came, they had the opportunity to meet with the stakeholders, starting with the government at the level of the CS. They met the NOC and other stakeholders. Why? It is because they wanted to also get to hear from them what is your take about the program in Kenya. How can we strengthen the program in Kenya? The other reason why they were here is to also give some assurances that for us to maintain and to be able to get, or to keep and continue doing what we had said we are doing and what we are actually doing, we need support from both the government and other stakeholders. Yes. So it was a negotiation kind of. And then most important is that the World Anti-Doping Code is the current code that we are using is coming to an end in December 31st, meaning that effective January 2027, we will have a new code in place. And with the code comes a whole set of international standards. So one of the engagement that we had with them was how do we make sure that Kenya is code compliant by 1st of January 2027, because they have implemented the process of changing of their act and the policies and the rules and all the legislative document that we are using currently to make sure that they are consistent. So we started off that journey with them. And this has been a lot of back and forth that we do now behind the curtains. Yes. And we have got assurances from WADA that we're on the right track. And we are very soon going to start engagement with the stakeholders locally and the parliament to ensure that whatever changes that we are aligning with the code are also suitable for this country. They are aligned with our own laws, and that there is a buy-in by the stakeholders. So that is a major KPI. And then the fact that we will continue to implement the program successfully is a big KPI, because the minute we fall back, if we fall back in terms of program implementation, it means we go back to non-compliance. So everybody is watching this space to make sure that we remain consistent and we deliver on what is expected of us. So that's it.
Thank you, CEO, on that. And of course, as we come almost to an end of this particular interview, I will not let Dr. go without answering this question, especially about school games. I don't know how we manage to ensure that our children, and through, of course, the Ministry of Education and through the relevant agencies, that our children start getting used to this kind of terminologies early enough, because we have school games, and school games attract a lot of attention from across the world. We have some of our young boys and girls who are in Europe already and they're still in school. So how do we ensure that by the time they're also going to Spain or UK or wherever, what they understand matters to do with doping? 2 minutes.
Yes, first of all, we part of the awareness creation program under the International Standard for Education, it's expected that we undertake what we call values-based education. And values-based education is whereby we go to the children whom talent is just being detected and identified, and we run a program where we impart values such as honesty, values such as fair play, because at that age we can't go to them and start talking about doping and what is doping. But we believe that if we instill values, then they will practice these values as they continue being identified and participate in sports. So the program that we have laid in place is that we have had partnership with Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development. And under the competence-based curriculum, we have designed a program on values.
Okay.
So since physical education and sports in schools, both primary and secondary school, is compulsory, our games teachers and our PE teachers, now they have a curriculum for the children. And therefore the children all the way from grade 3 up to grade 10, they go through these values. So we expect that probably by the end of it, it will be a very good long-term strategy in preventing doping from happening, because then they will foster positive values as they practice in sports. So we have worked very closely with the Kenya Academy of Sports, Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, and the Ministry of Education, and schools under the county, in counties. Yes. So we have been capacity building the teachers in counties. We have been going to schools and just showcasing on how to implement this program on values-based education. And we believe that with that now we will reach as many children as possible. And those who will now take the pathway of sports will now have these values to practice. So it's a very good strategy, and I think across the world, Kenya has been hailed for coming up with and documenting this. Apart from Japan, Kenya is the second country in the whole world to implement values-based education. So we are actually even showcasing this to other national anti-doping organizations across the world. So that pool of athletes at that level, we are very confident that we have captured them now. And moving forward, I think that will reduce as much as possible the cases of doping and many other vices that are related with sports. Yes. And of course social vices that are also related with just the normal being of development of a human being. So actually we are on the right track in as far as that is concerned.
Now, I'm happy to hear that, of course, because we are very keen about school games wherever we are. We watch a lot of school games, and that's of course where we tap our talent. That's where we get all our athletes who come and feed into our senior teams. We have, of course, currently as we speak right now, we have the under-20 national trials at the Nya National Stadium ahead of the World under-20 championships that we held in Oregon in the USA. So that's, of course, I was very keen on the school games. Just one last one before we wind it up. You mentioned about CEO, you mentioned about partners and stakeholders. I don't know, do you partner with private sector, or you stick to government and government-related agencies? Or how do you intend? Because sometimes, if you solely depend on the government for your functions to work well, you tend to get challenges that what we experience in 2024. How do we diversify? What is EDAC's side hustle? Mukona side hustle gani?
That's an interesting one. At EDAC, we do not have a side hustle.
Yes.
Actually, we are required by law that we get supported by government. This is purely because of the issues of conflict of interest. We don't want to have us being funded by a certain entity somewhere that is also funding athletes and is coming to tell us, we have invested this much in the learning of these institutions, so why can't you not do this, or why should you go ahead like this? So basically that is the reason, and that is why it is a big concern for WADA when funding does not come through, because there is that risk. However, having said so, we also get some money from event organizers, and the money we collect from not all, the event organizers for who want to do activities that are not within our, what we call the annual test distribution plan. We charge them for collection of samples,
yes,
transportation, and analysis only. We don't make money out of it.
Okay.
Yes.
So EDAC is a non-profit
making.
Okay.
Actually, a service
yeah.
Organization.
Yeah. Yes, it's very important, and I'm happy, of course, for the work that you've done so far. That I was able to see it through, of course, some of the athletes who have gone through all that process, and they're coming out on the other side as champions of what they had to go through. So I'm happy EDAC is no longer prefect. EDAC is now part and parcel of the community of athletes and the community of those who support the fight against anti-doping. The CEO of EDAC, acting CEO, I hope I got it right.
Sure.
Ama ni CEO. Unajua sasa tukisema acting interim CEO mnatuchanganya CEOs. Wacha niseme tu CEO of the Anti-Doping Agency of Kenya, Penina Wahome. Thank you so much for really coming, just to shed light, of course, where we are headed to. And thank you so much for this January 2027 new code. That's another story, of course, we shall be following to see how that transition will happen.
Okay.
Asante sana. And of course, as well as Daktari Martin Yauma, PhD and Acting Director, Standards and Compliance. Asante sana, Daktari.
Karibu sana.
We appreciate, and of course, the entire team of the Anti-Doping Agency of Kenya. I know my friends are watching who have been here before. Asante sana create the curtain raiser, kukubali CEO akuje. Asanteni sana. Keep on doing what you do. We are part and parcel of the work we do as a journalist here. So we are happy where we are, and we are glad, of course, our work is bearing fruit, because nyinyi mkifanya kazi huko, sisi tunafanya kazi huko, tuna compliment wote.
Yes.
CEO, asante.
Thank you.
Daktari, asante sana.
Karibu sana.
And we wish you, of course, all the best. And please make time to come back whenever you have success stories, ama challenges. Feel free as TV47, Radio 47, TV47 Digital, and Cape Studios. We are here tusaidiane tu kazi.
Kabisa.
Msituone kama sisi ni wabaya, sisi ni wazuri. We are part and parcel of what, of course, we are supposed to achieve.
Kabisa.
Thank you for providing the platform.
Karibu sana.
Yes.
Asante sana. This is, of course, Sports Extravaganza.